CMTV, faithful viewers of Crossviews, you are highly welcome to another edition. We thank God there is God that we are gathered here today to serve mankind, to serve our beloved country. And so, dear viewers, without waste of time, I shall be introducing the gentlemen we have on board to analyze things here, including you out there, because we cherish you a lot, because you are our faithful viewers. First of all, I want to welcome Mr. Njomo Cyril, who has decided to make it again today. You are highly welcome to another edition of Crossviews.
Thanks, Mr. Mambo, for having me.
That's very unusual, but I still want to bring you in. We hear a kind of in-house fighting as far as the Cameroon Renaissance movement is concerned, up to the extent that the Secretary General, Barrister Ndong Christopher, complains of his life is being threatened.
You give me the opportunity to shed light on that issue that has been seized by bandits who already showed their bad faith whenever they are called in front of camera or hidden behind their keyboards in their houses on social media to distill very bad information on the peace-loving political party, the Cameroonians. Actually, the office of the Secretary General, headed by Ndong Christopher, Chief Barrister Ndong Christopher, was attacked here in Boya, in the neighborhood of Bokwango, most precisely a new layout. So a group of 5 men, armed men, let us put it that way, went to his compound and knocked at the door. Of course, he's not here because his cabinet, he leads one of the most serious law firm in Yaoundé. For publicity reasons, I might not like to call the name here. And so they went to his house and met his firstborn, knocked at the door and said that they have heard that there is a studio here on rentage. And so he said, yes, there is a studio. And just for him to go and look for the keys, as he keyed in the studio and brought them in, they removed a gun and started asking, where is your father? Give us his number. They seized his phone. Whether luckily or not, the phone immediately went off, and they hit back the phone on him and told him that we will be back. Though we have not been able to get his contact here, we will be back. And to tell me that it's an in-house fight, I just want to thank you so sincerely, because that is the kind of misinformation that is happening on social media. But we know those who are behind it, and we want to seize this opportunity to tell them that enough is enough. And the Minister of Communication, the Minister of Post and Telecommunication, together with the CMTV Buzz, recently came out to decry the fact that even some well-grounded media houses in Cameroon have today thrown themselves into the drizzling of information, into misinformation. And I think it's one of the topics that we are going to be shedding light onto.
I want to welcome Dr. Busi Ernest, who has always been part of this program, a lover of Crossviews. You're highly welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mambo William. I'm humbled to be here again. I'm happy to be here with my co-panelists and other panelists who have just come for their first time. Mr. Mambo Williams, there's a lot of issues we have to be discussing here today. And I want to say that we're out to build Cameroon. We're not out to destroy Cameroon. We're lovers of peace and justice. Mr. Williams, about 104 people's lawyers were sworn into the Cameroon Bar Council in Boya, the Court of Appeal today by Barrister Cameroon. And I want to say that is something that is very good, because we have been fighting issues of laws in this country, especially with the common law. And we feel that the common law must be respected in this country as we are talking, because we feel that the common law have been depressed in this country, have been subjugated. Let me put it like that. The common laws have been subjugated in this country, and we are fighting for equity. And I feel that these new lawyers, these new barristers who have entered the Bar Council should be able to protect the common man who is suffering in the northwest and southwest, because many common people are still being arbitrarily arrested on daily basis, and I feel that the lawyers should be the eyes of the common man. And going to external news, Mr. Moderator, a very young lady at the age of 29 was appointed Minister of Women and Child in Chad. At the age of 29, a woman. And I want to say that those are good examples that Cameroon should model, to see that young people at the age of 29 could be involved in governance and nation building in their country. Because we are decrying the issue of gerontocracy, government of the age. When you look at our system of our cabinet is aging, we need to see the youth in governance and the youth in politics, which will help bring about nation building and the energy. And when you look at the country of Gabon also, the president of Gabon also appointed the first female prime minister. And we need to see women in governance in this country. Women are avoiding politics. We need to see many women in politics, so that one day, we can also have a female president in this country. So we need to see those changes. And I think that it's a good thing to see that Africa is a bit changing. If this can be happening in Central Africa, I think that this should be a wind of change that will blow and even reach Cameroon someday, where we can see youths in their late 20s being ministers and also taking part in the decision-making process. Because when President Paul Biya in his last year's speech, he said the youth should be engaged in politics. And we can see youth now also as Lord Mayors. We could see the late mayor of Mamfi. We could see there are many youth now who are Lord Mayors, which is positive. And we think that the youth should enter into politics. Politics is not that too much of a dirty game that we think. And also the youth should also partake in elections. The youth should engage, they should participate in elections, they should vote, and see that the youth can be part of nation building in this country. So I'm happy.
President Paul Biya is doing a lot to promote the youths and women.
Recently, I think that when you look at the ministers in the country, we have about 11 female ministers, which was not like that before. And I think it's getting positive a bit. Yeah. But also looking at the side of the youth, I feel that a lot has to be done. We should not only say it by mouth, but we should be able to implement, because there's a lot of political apathy on the side of the youth, because this political apathy and voter apathy have been over the years. Okay. So it is high time we see the youth being involved in politics like we are doing here. We are youths, to see that we can engage in nation building and we can change Cameroon. We can be vocal in the decision-making process. Thank you.
Dear viewers, for the very first time, we should welcome one of the finest journalists we have, and a civil society activist who is joining us for the very first time, as I said, Solomon Ate. You're highly welcome to Crossviews on CMTV.
Thank you, Williams. It's a privilege for me to be here today and to share my views with other powerful panelists here. I think that it's a privilege. I've always watched your programs. I've always been very attentive to the things you people analyze here, and it's always been my wish that I should be here to share my views as well with other people, with other powerful citizens of this country, and I think it's a privilege.
I think you're going to tell us better, given that the Minister of Communication and that of P&T had to hit hard on journalists.
Yeah. I think that it's a two-way round thing. The government is asking for too much from journalists. At the same time, journalists equally have to be responsible in the way they disseminate information, especially with the advent of the information and communication technology, ICT. Almost everybody now is a journalist. And just because you can afford data, you have a smartphone, you can go online and you write information without verification. It's very wrong. And what I urge young journalists to do is to adopt a sense of responsibility, what we call social responsibility in journalism. And equally, I think that the government doesn't just have to coming out and saying what is bad. They should equally take part in accompanying those who are doing the job, so as to promote those who are doing it well, and to tell them that if you do your job well, you'll be encouraged. Not just always coming out all the time to say what is bad, but never coming out to say what is good.
Yes, but I'll stay with you. What's your take like when we start seeing on social media, the backstabbing on the on the Roman Catholic Church or the Catholic University or the Bishop of Boya, let me put it that way, given that what we saw on social media that he had laid aside some priests and the chaos in the Catholic University. That's part of journalism and giving the saga of the Secretary General of the Cameroon Universities movement.
I think that heads of institutions, especially religious institutions, they owe themselves a responsibility to protect the sanctity of their institutions, because journalists are there to disseminate information. And with what I just talked about, the advent of the ICT, everybody wants to become relevant with social media, and then their eyes are itching as soon as they just hear and in somewhere they want to be the first to publish. There is this urge for somebody to first publish information, and so they get to the point where they send out this information without verifying whether this is true or not. But I think that there is equally an adage that says there is no smoke without fire.
Yeah.
So it now boils down to these institutions, be them religious or political institutions. They should really work on their public relations policies and see how they have to maintain a good relationship with the media, send out information that is relevant with the media, and to ensure that what the media is saying reflects what is the reality.
Okay.
And equally, most importantly, they have to really be responsible, because with what is going on, we see a lot of irresponsibility on the parts of these authorities. Religious authorities, the religious institution, which is supposed to be the moral institution of a country, has allegations of embezzlement, and they are not doing everything possible to show to us that these things that are being said about them are not true. And so when those things come out, whether journalists report them rightly or wrongly, the issue is that there is no smoke without fire, and the religious institutions need to sit up and play their role as the moral regulator of the society.
Okay, I think we shall still come back on that because it's very hot news. Let me introduce Mr. Gentle. You're highly welcome to another edition of Cross Views on CMTV.
Thanks very much, Mr. Moderator. Thank my fellow panelists, Mr. Njomo Cyril, Mr. Solomon, and Dr. You say when your hands are clean, you dine with your elders. So I'm happy again to be my wise one to learn again to discuss issues related to Cameroon. I think I was impressed when I saw the Northwest Southwest Women Task Force calling again for need for a ceasefire before the government plan for reconstruction of Northwest Southwest to go and continue. I think I'm impressed with that particular decision from these women, given the fact that they are on the field in Northwest and Southwest, and they know how it will be very difficult for government reconstruction plan to go without a proper ceasefire. And I will go back into just like what Doctor was saying of a 29-year young lady in North Cameroon, Chad, having given the ministerial position. I think we have been climbing, we keep seeing every day that the government as well as the youth to focus, to position their mind for politics. I think it's the two-sided something. The youth themselves, are they prepared for political issue before the government? I think we are hoping the government to put in place an organigram where a platform where a youth can, if there's a minister of finance, there should be which minister of finance, and then let there be a youth minister of finance. If there's a minister of defense, let there be a minister of defense. I think this should work in a way that they will be bringing them up to become aware, to know what to become involved in politics. Even in different political parties, because we are saying this because youth constitute almost 60 to 70% of the population. And why not? Why is that they cannot also be involved in political issues that concern them? Most youth that can become involved in politics, they say youth are the leaders of tomorrow. If they are leaders of tomorrow, they must start by being the tomorrow, being involved in issues concerning them as far as tomorrow is concerned.
At the time that the result of ENAM is out for magistracy, and so the boss to Dr. Chemuta Divine Banda of human rights and freedom is on the way to the grave.
Yeah, that is something that's personality that we Cameroonian we cried for. We have known whom Dr. Chimota Divine was. We have known his role in Cameroon. We have known even when the Anglophone Crisis, we have known the part played by him. But unfortunately, like we put it like nature, whatever God called him. But that's a brain that we really lament, really cry for his death. We cry for his loss, but that is life, because it's a journey that all of us are going to follow. But coming back to a NAM result, I think that's an excellent something. And then and for those who made it, it's excellent something for those who made it. And then for those who could not make it, just like you used to say, we wish and we hope that for the upcoming exam, they are going to make it. But Mr. Morito, I will come to hints again about the issue of primary schools teachers who are being in Yaoundé, the Minister of the Basic Education, over issue of the results of the results for the primary, the integration list. Some of the primary school teachers who thought that they were supposed to be on the list, given the fact that they have been working, but they have been working as private for long and had that experience. But unfortunately, when the list and they become something that will begin to step us as Cameroonians, because it's not only an issue of basic education. We have seen similar situation with higher education, where some doctorate PhD holders also had some particular time they marched in Yaoundé, lamenting, crying that the list, the presidential gesture given to them, had some sort of discrimination or favoritism.
Somebody commented that there are so many Cameroonians who go on retirement while volunteering. Okay, now I really want us to discuss on this social media saga that is on the Bishop of Bishop Bibi, Michael Bibi, that he decided to laicize some priests of the Boya diocese, and the saga of maybe some news of the killing of a priest of Boya. But especially, my focus now, I want to start with you, Dr. Busi Ernest. Do you see some people who want to fight back as far as the Catholic University, the change in the Catholic University is concerned? And maybe Michael Bibi's administration?
I think that Bishop Michael Bibi has come into the Diocese of Boya to clean the house. He's there for a mission, and he will clean the house. I think that looking at the bishop, he was sent from Rome, and the bishop has all the litigation right to change administration, to take care of his diocese. Because when you fight the bishop, you fight the pope. When you are fighting, there are canon laws. And when you look at the Bishop of Boya, Bishop Michael Bibi, I see the gentleman as someone who has been sent for a mission to bring change in the governance of the church and its institution. Looking at Father Kenze, the fighting between Father Kenze and the bishop was not called for, because Father Kenze has been there for some time, and he has been there since the institution started. As the president doesn't mean that he will be president forever. And he was there, he was instituted there by another bishop who is on retirement. Before going for his sabbatical leave, another person was appointed, Professor Ngo. He would have dialogued with the bishop, not taking the bishop to court, and the case would die like that. He has acknowledged the fact that he has given that he's not more the president of CUBE. So I see that as no case. Okay. And looking at that, I want to say that there's what we call the canon law, and there are laws of the church. And here in the Diocese of Boya, Bishop Bibi is the overall administrator, and the bishop has the right to involve in institutional matter like schools. So I don't see any person fighting the bishop I don't see any person winning the bishop at this time, at this point in time. So I think that an injunction was put by the court, but later on, the father went on social media to say that he acknowledged the fact that he acknowledged those like people like the former bishop. He acknowledges them and so on, and his close collaborators. And he is not more the president of CUBE. And I think that he should allow Professor Ngo and the bishop do their job. And Mr. Moderator, up to now, Catholic University, we feel that it should open because it's been long, and most universities will be writing their second semester exams. And the students of Catholic University have not gone into face-to-face schooling over a long period of time. And I feel that they should allow the bishop clean his house. The bishop, before coming, was sent for a mission, and he has something to do, and the bishop is doing it slowly but surely. And I think that the infighting in the church is not necessary. It's God's house. Because what some of our priests should understand, that they were called for pastoral duty. They were not called even to head institutions like the schools, because they are pastors, they are fathers who are head of schools, even secondary schools. So they should understand that they have a duty.
So they should go to the congregations.
They have a duty, and they have been assigned a task to do their pastoral work. And the church should not be a place for infighting. A church should be a religious place. So I think that the bishop, as I earlier said, he is the overall administrator here in Buea. He has the right to appoint, he has the right to even sack, and he has the right to transfer the priests from one place to another. So they must respect the hierarchy of the church. The priest must respect the hierarchy of the church for the church to function well. Because I think that the priests are supposed to act like role models so that their Christians will respect them and know that the church is a sacred house of God.
Okay.
And I think that the bishop still remains as the chief executive officer of the Pope here in Buea.
Before we begin in Toto, I would like you to comment a bit, because you have some idea about, do you see some invisible hands to distort the smooth running of CUIB and the administration of Bishop Michael Bibi? And he made it clear that CUIB is not under the Catholic or the Catholic as a whole, but it is under the Buea diocese.
That topic does not interest me. I would not like to comment on it.
Okay, if there's no other thing to say on that.
About the issue of the bishop.
Yes,
No, I'll just highlight that by saying that I think there's a certain time on the platform that I reiterate about the issue of the misunderstanding or whatever happened within the Catholic Buea diocese. I think, and just I make it clear that when it comes to Catholics, when it comes to Catholic, there's what they call hierarchy. It's highly respected. This is what they call hierarchy. That's why I don't want to put that in that there was misunderstanding or there was infighting. I just want to say that it was a little misunderstanding at the end of the day. The priest or whatever realized himself.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's clear.
Just pray that, given what we saw on social media, things will lie low and things will start going on well as far as our beloved Catholic University Institute of Buea is concerned. Dear viewers, we shall take the first topic. We shall begin this program in Toto